defensive coordinator Dom Capers. The Green Bay Packers have parted ways with defensive coordinator Dom Capers after 9 seasons. Capers was relieved of his duties following the end of a disappointing regular season, according to a league source, and the search for his replacement begins immediately. Additional changes to the defensive coaching staff are likely to follow. The news was first reported by ESPN and NFL Network. The decision comes in the wake of a 7-9 season in which the Packers lost quarterback Aaron Rodgers to a broken collarbone in Week 6 and the defense was unable to help take up the slack. Possible candidates to succeed Capers include defensive coordinators Vic Fangio of the Chicago Bears, Greg Williams of the Cleveland Browns and Steve Spagnuolo of the New York Giants. Capers' undoing was the result of a statistical nosedive in recent years compounded by widespread disorganization this season. The Packers had fielded a steady defense as recently as 2015, when the team ranked 6th against the pass, 7th in opposing quarterback passer rating, 9th in interceptions and tied for 12th in points allowed. But massive slippage over the last 2 years hinted at larger systemic issues, especially given the recent influx of high draft picks on that side of the ball, 2 first-round picks in cornerback Damarius Randall and nose tackle Kenny Clark, 3 second-round picks in cornerback Quinton Rollins, cornerback Kevin King and safety Josh Jones, 2 third-round picks in outside linebacker Kyler Fackrell and defensive tackle Montravius Adams. Year over year, the Packers have found it increasingly difficult to defend against the pass, regardless of the opposing quarterback. A secondary that ranked in the top 10 in most statistical categories a handful of times under Capers, 2009, 10, 12, 14 and 15, plummeted to the bottom of the league in astounding fashion as turnovers vanished. The likes of Andy Dalton, Jameis Winston, Deshaun Kaiser, Blake Bortles, Marcus Mariota, Kirk Cousins, Brock Osweiler and Sam Bradford have combined to throw 22 touchdown passes against only 3 interceptions in the last 2 seasons. Perhaps most concerning for McCarthy is the dissolution of Capers' defensive formula, which the team's media guide describes as pressuring the quarterback and creating turnovers. Capers has survived multiple seasons of leaky defense by generating takeaways at extremely high rates, thus creating more possessions for the offense and quarterback Aaron Rodgers. The Packers led the league in interceptions twice in Capers' 9 seasons, 2009, 11, and finished in the top 10 another 5 times, 2010, 12, 14, 15, 16, to shroud several mediocre defenses in the 7 years since their last Super Bowl victory. This year, though, the interceptions, T20th, and sacks, T17th, were harder to find. Randall and safety Clinton Dix were the only players with multiple interceptions. Outside linebackers Clay Matthews and Nick Perry were the only consistent threats to rush the passer. Week after week, opposing quarterbacks took a hatchet to porous coverage on the back end, and the Packers finished the regular season ranked 31st in opposing quarterback passer rating, 102.0. and 30th in completion percentage allowed, 67.8. Equally worrisome was the patterns of logistical dysfunction that straddled the line between comedy and embarrassing. No defense, it seemed, had as many communication breakdowns as the Packers, who shuffled their on-field headset between a minimum of 3 different players in an attempt to combat the problem. There were times when the Packers had too many men on the field and others when they didn't have enough. There were blown coverages in which receivers ran free and others when 2 defenders followed the same target. Veterans had to redirect rookies before the ball was snapped. Coaches disagreed with one another over whose players were at fault for certain touchdowns. The operation as a whole felt broken. Still, there were several contributing factors that went beyond Capers' control, shifting at least a portion of the blame to general manager Ted Thompson. The Packers' cornerback position was decimated by injuries in each of the last 2 seasons, beginning with a career-ending concussion for Sam Shields in the 2016 season opener at Jacksonville. Capers has been without a true number 1 corner ever since. There were growing problems for Randall and Rollins, both of whom needed surgery last season, and a devastating knee injury to Demetri Goodson that cost him all of 2017. Rollins tore his Achilles tendon in October. King, this year's top draft pick, was in and out of the lineup with a shoulder problem that ultimately landed him on injured reserve. Devin House, the lone veteran Thompson signed, battled problems with his quadricep, shoulder and multiple transverse process fractures in his back. It meant that in each of the last 2 years, as the Packers reached the NFC Championship game in 2016 and fought to remain in the playoff race this season, Capers reached a point where undrafted rookies were the only healthy bodies at one of the game's most important positions. The chances of McIntyre, Josh Hawkins, Lindsey Pipkins and Donatello Brown guiding the Packers to glory was slim, so Capers turned his backup safeties into slot cornerbacks instead. At some point, Thompson must be willing to reinforce his roster with veterans. Should Capers decide to call it a career, he leaves the sport of football with a tremendous resume. He entered coaching as a graduate assistant with Kent State in 1972 and has been on the sideline ever since, sitting out just a single year in the last 5 decades. He broke into the National Football League as the defensive backs coach for the New Orleans Saints in 1986 and earned his first coordinator job with the Pittsburgh Steelers in 1992. He has been a head coach twice, for the Carolina Panthers and Houston Texans, and was named the NFL Coach of the Year in 1996 after his Panthers went 12-4 and reached the NFC Championship game in their second season in the league. He worked for 8 franchises in 32 years. He won his only Super Bowl with the Packers in 2010. Capers will be 68 years old in August. Don't be surprised if he decides to keep coaching somewhere else. Tom Silverstein of the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel contributed to this report. Here's a look at the Packers' defensive rankings under Dom Capers. 2017 total defense, 22 rushing defense, 17 passing defense, 23 opposing quarterback passer rating, 31 completion percentage, 30 interceptions, 20 sacks, 17 points, 26 2016 total defense, 22 rushing defense, 8 passing defense, 31 opposing quarterback passer rating, 26 completion percentage, 25 interceptions, 4 sacks, 6 points, 21 2015 total defense, 15 rushing defense, 21 passing defense, 6 opposing quarterback passer rating, 7 completion percentage, 4 interceptions, 9 sacks, 7 points, 12 2014 total defense, 15 rushing defense, 23 passing defense, 10 opposing quarterback passer rating, 7 completion percentage, 7 interceptions, 7 sacks, 9 points, 13 2013 total defense, 25 rushing defense, 25 passing defense, 24 opposing quarterback passer rating, 25 completion percentage, 20 interceptions, 26 sacks, 8 points, 24 2012 total defense, 11 rushing defense, 17 passing defense, 11 opposing quarterback passer rating, 4 completion percentage, 4 interceptions, 8 sacks, 4 points, 11 2011 total defense, 32 rushing defense, 14 passing defense, 32 opposing quarterback passer rating, 10 completion percentage, 19 interceptions, 1 sacks, 27 points, 19 2010 total defense, 5 rushing defense, 18 passing defense, 5 opposing quarterback passer rating, 1 completion percentage, 4 interceptions, 2 sacks, 2 points, 2009 total defense, 2 rushing defense, 1 passing defense, 5 opposing quarterback passer rating, 4 completion percentage, 2 interceptions, 1 sacks, 11 points, 7